You mentioned the word evolved as to cancer going into remission. Do you think that evolution states that individuals evolve?
Well, I think it's interesting that people, quote Darwin and others, and this whole theory of evolution, and yet science has tried to disprove the creation story and have not been able to do that because science does nothing but confirm the biblical account of things. In fact, there's a whole slew of scientists who 50 years ago were very much on the Darwinian type of explanation of things, evolution. And many of them have changed because there's a whole lot of things in science that just does not pan out when they compare it to known facts. And they like, well, we don't really have a full explanation for some things. So they have to constantly alter theories and change things to try to fit a new narrative. And
You,
yet, the
oh,
one
sorry. You
narrative that
mentioned
doesn't change is a different kind of an account, and people can accept that or reject it. And they do. And so for me, I don't have a problem with I was one of those very skeptical people most of my life. I couldn't explain certain things, and I still can't, of things that are in the Bible because I don't have full understanding of that any more than science does of some of the things they promote that they think they understand. But that doesn't mean that what's stated isn't true. It just means that I don't have an understanding of it right now. So,
well, you mentioned earlier known fact. It was kind of early on in that. Are there any known facts that are exclusively confirming the creation event mentioned in the Bible?
um, well, I don't have it in front of me, but I actually have a book that explains 13, 13 different physical things in the universe that are in the Bible, written thousands of years before they were, quote, discovered through science. These are things that have to do with everything from how the circulation of the air works and evaporation, the whole types of the actual celestial rotation of planets was in the Bible. It's in the Bible clearly spelled out, and God recorded the names in the Bible of celestial bodies that weren't even known to men, generally speaking, and yet he made a point of recording that he knows them all by name. He knows how the earth works. He is the one who set the foundation of the earth. He is the one that causes the rotation of the earth at a certain degree. If the degree of the earth's slant alone were changed just a little bit, the entire earth would be incinerated. So
I
something
need to
had to
actually
put a.
interject right here. The Earth's tilt actually does change throughout the year. That's why we have seasons.
I'm not talking about rotation, and I'm talking about the axis
That's
of
what
the
I'm
earth is
that's what I'm
set in a
referring to.
specific position that if people were to simply listen to the facts of what scientists has now borne out, because there have been many people throughout the ages who've questioned the Bible, who've tried to disprove the Bible. Archaeology does nothing but confirm the Bible. People said, well, this civilization never existed. We don't have any record of that. We don't have any record of this historical war or these powers. And yet, archaeologists are uncovering things constantly who do nothing but confirm the actual things that recorded in the Bible as they were recorded. And they're like, so they're constantly changing just like a scientist does, based on revelation.
Hey, Bill.
For instance, one of the very
Bill.
people that
Bill. I'm sorry. You're bringing in a lot of claims, but I mean, can we start with one? Like, what's one known fact about creation that doesn't fit into, say, like a more secular creation event?
okay, well, let's start with this. We'll just talk about the difference between animals and human beings. The Bible account in Genesis talks about how creation came about. God said that he set the sun, the moon, and the stars in their place, and he said he set them there. He doesn't. The God that I worship is eternal. He doesn't need life. He does not need time. He doesn't exist in time. He was before time. and those who will be with him will be on time as we know it. So when he created the earth, he specifically explains that they're there for a measure of time for man, so that man would have a way to measure times and seasons and years and days. And then he specifically goes into the development of the creatures on the earth, those that were developed, that were put here. Evolution comes along and says, no, we came from the sea or an amoeba, we evolved, and yet there's no continual track record in any species on the face of the earth of development from point A to now. There's no track record of any of it. It's all hypotheses, it's all theories, it's all suggestion that that's how we got here. And yet the Bible has a very different approach to that. In addition to that, it says that man, unlike the rest of creation, says that God breathed into man and became a living being, created in his image. And unlike animals who have a body and a soul that can experience thoughts and emotions, feelings, man has something totally different because God breathed into man his spirit, and that spirit in us causes us to not only think and rationalize and reason, but we can also create and cause things to exist that may have never existed before because that's in us as a part of creation. That does not come from evolution.
Give
There's
give
no
me a
explanation for where that came from.
give
That
me
to
a
me is a
Oh, sorry. I should mention as well. If you're saying that it couldn't possibly have been this way, I can't think of another way it could have happened, so it had to be this way. That is a logical fallacy that you're employing, called a kindly. It's an argument from personal incredulity. It's commonly called an argument from ignorance. It's not calling you or anyone who uses it ignorant. It just means I'm ignorant of any other way this could have happened. like uh us saying we don't know how lightning was caused, therefore it had to be from Thor's hammer. Like it couldn't have been any natural way that we can see. As far as evolution goes, is there a thing, like, would you agree that you have a spinal cord and you consume living tissue to survive?
yeah.
If you meet that definition, then you are an animal. Like, that's how we define animals. If you
Oh,
also have body hair and your
well, that's
species
how man
provides milk
defines
for it,
animals. If I could interrupt you for a second, you're using definitions and explanations that men have developed and said this is the truth. And you're using the very argument that I'm presenting is if you're going to base your belief system on what people tell you is the truth, that's your choice. You can believe that.
just
Because the Bible's
when
very
I say
clear that
animal, that's what
we're
I
going
mean.
to choose who we listen to and we're going to choose who we obey. And we all have the same choice. We all have the same ability to reject or accept, and some things you accept by faith. That's a truth. But the fact is, I have to believe that when I plug a socket, something into a socket, I have to believe by faith electricity's there. So faith is around me all day long. So it's not hard for me to believe that the explanations that I believe in are more real than the explanations that people put their faith in that are explained by men.
Wow. Now that was a conversation. Be sure to leave your thoughts below and subscribe for the next part.